What's up, Space Pirates? This is your Admiral, the Dread Pirate Dr. Disaster, and as we all know, Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders were originally scheduled to start yesterday in the United States, but that date was delayed while the US has been imposing tariffs on goods imported from other countries. But now, it sounds as though tariffs are being paused for every country but China, and while Nintendo still has a large chunk of their manufacturing done in China, more than half of their manufacturing is done in Vietnam and Cambodia. So, it looks like the coast is clear, and pre-orders in the US are expected to begin at any time now.
Whoop-de-doo!
Yeah, for a lot of us, this isn't the big news that it should have been. About a week or so ago, before the price of the new Nintendo games was revealed, we might have been a lot more excited, but now, after all the controversy, and after a few Nintendo executives have said some outrageously boneheaded things about the new prices, not the least of which being Doug Bowser, the head of the Nintendo of America, telling people, if you can't afford the Switch 2, then buy the Switch 1. But after all that, Nintendo may be disposed to try to win back some goodwill from the gamers. The tariff situation is a potential vehicle for them to try it. At first, their pals in the media tried blaming the tariffs for the high prices of the Switch in the first place, but gamers saw through that quickly, especially when Nintendo confirmed that their prices had been decided on long before the tariffs began.
It was clear you're completely full of shit.
Well, now Nintendo themselves are potentially leveraging the tariffs to try to make themselves look good with gamers. It sounds as though Nintendo is preparing to sell the Switch 2 console at a loss in order to let gamers know that they supposedly aren't as greedy, out of touch, and just plain repellent as they have seemed this past week. The media has jumped on this narrative right away today in the wake of the news that tariffs are temporarily suspended. But as for trying to win back gamer goodwill, well, until they lower the prices on games, I suspect that this is how the situation will remain for a lot of gamers.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Alright, me hearties, make sure you hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet, and also, please consider supporting the channel by becoming a member. Audiobook of a dark fantasy novel I've written will be available for members first very soon, and the book itself will be available for sale on Amazon. The thing is, it's important that we not just complain about what we don't like in our culture, we have to contribute things we do like. So, I humbly ask that you consider supporting this venture by becoming a channel member. But in any event, let's talk about the narrative Nintendo and their journalist shills are trying to spin right now. And to be clear, I suspect that this narrative is carefully crafted alongside the PR people at Nintendo. These big companies like Nintendo give journalists early access and exclusive access to their games in exchange for their fidelity. This essentially turns journalists into PR firms for the likes of Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, EA, etc. So, when I see articles pop up like this one here, I immediately expect that this is coordinated with Nintendo to at least some degree. There are several outlets who are running with this narrative, and I firmly believe that this is Nintendo simply attempting to win back gamer goodwill. They have seen what gamers have been saying about them for the past week or so, and they aren't going to like that at all. Sure, the Switch 2 is still going to sell a lot of units, but as a family brand, this is a company that thrives on goodwill. But anyhow, let's read what this article has to say. This is from Insider Gaming, and it says Nintendo could be selling Switch 2 consoles at a loss in the US, but they can take it. Aw, isn't that just so sweet of them? They're really thinking of us, aren't they? That must make them the good guys. Well, I guess all is forgiven now, folks. You can stop being mad at Nintendo, but sarcasm aside, let's read the rest of this thing. It says, it has been claimed by a securities analyst that Nintendo could be shaping up to sell every Switch 2 console at a loss based on the estimated costs of the bill of materials. This is because of the recent tariffs imposed by the United States government, and it's assuming that they stay at 10%. In a report published by Bloomberg, the scope of the financial situation surrounding Nintendo and Trump's tariffs came into question. Hideki Yasuda of Toyo Securities in Japan explained, "We believe the Switch 2's bill of materials is around $400, meaning Nintendo would still be selling consoles at a loss in the US with the 10% tariff, but the loss would be something Nintendo would be able to absorb. Sony is in a tougher situation as most of its PlayStation production is in China, and it may be forced to hike PS5 prices in the US in the near future. Or, they could always build a manufacturing plant or two in the United States and not have to worry about tariffs at all. That's always an option. It's on the table. Just want you guys to think about that. But the Nintendo Switch 2's price point is much higher than that of the first console released in 2017, but Nintendo recently went on record explaining why that is. It's all to do with the quality of the offering and the upgrades over the first console, and inflation also weighs into the debate. Yeah, we all heard their very ridiculous explanations for why the new games are more expensive. Basically, they told us that the price is the price, and you gamer chuds are just gonna pay it, and that's it. And fair enough, I'm a firm believer in letting the market speak for itself. If they can get by with higher prices, then I guess they were right. But this nonsense where the narrative being spun is that Nintendo is taking one for the team on the Switch 2 console, that is horseshit of the highest order. Do you guys know what a loss leader is? It's a term referring to a business offering a crazy deal trying to get people in the door. For example, if Target or Walmart offers a TV for just $100, even though the TV cost them like $110 or something, they know that you'll come flying in to buy this TV, and then the hope is that while you're there, you're also going to buy an HDMI cord, Blu-ray players, Blu-rays, a TV stand, or a wall mount. Hell, they even hope that you're going to buy your groceries while they're there. And they know that you're going to make other purchases, so they're going to make money on those things instead, and so they don't mind absorbing the loss. The loss leader refers to something like that. In gaming, these console manufacturers do that as well. They may not always take a loss on their consoles, but they aren't making any real money. The money that Nintendo makes, really, the bulk of it, comes from selling a Switch and then selling all the software. Did you know that Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft, they all get about a quarter of the sales dollars for any digital copy of a third-party game sold on their platform, and they get all the sales dollars for a first-party game. And Nintendo, as we all know, has a freaking army of first-party games that come out every year. So, what I'm saying is that this, taking a loss on their console, was always the plan. Nintendo was always willing to sell this system at or near a loss. If this analyst is correct, and if Nintendo spends $400 making these systems, then by the time shipping and everything else is factored in, they were likely already taking a loss, because the money that they plan to make is in the software, and gamers know that too. That is why we haven't been complaining much about the Switch 2 console's price as much as we are upset at the cost of the games. That is where gamers spend the bulk of their money. But I'm going to leave it there. What do you think about all this? Are you now thinking Nintendo is the good guy? Drop your thoughts on this situation into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.